Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. We got some really interesting questions this week about preserving art.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all about how to protect those masterpieces and keep them looking their best.
Makes sense. I mean, art is such an investment.
Totally. And fading. That can really take a toll on the value of a piece.
For sure.
We dug into a fascinating document called Pasted Text to find some expert advice.
Cool.
Get this. The biggest culprit behind fading might not be what you think.
Yeah, a lot of folks think it's just direct sunlight that's the problem.
Right, like keep it out of the sun and you're good.
Exactly. But it turns out it's the UV rays that are the real enemy.
Oh, so even if it's not in like a beam of sunlight.
Exactly. Those sneaky UV rays can actually penetrate through windows.
Wow, so even if your art isn't hanging directly in the sun.
It can still be damaged, yeah. UV radiation basically breaks down the pigments in the art.
Like the actual color?
Yeah, the molecules that make up the color literally start to break apart.
Wow, so it's kind of like a slow motion sunburn for your artwork.
That's a great way to put it. It's cumulative damage over time.
Oh, okay, so we need to protect our art from UV rays. Got it.
Absolutely. And that means thinking beyond just sunlight.
Okay, so what else should we be aware of?
Well, pasted text also highlighted moisture as a major threat, especially when it comes to mold.
Ugh, mold is the worst. I mean,
Yeah,
nobody wants mold anywhere, let alone on their precious artwork.
definitely not. And it's not just about that icky surface mold either.
There's more?
Oh yeah, mold can actually penetrate the paint layers.
Did it?
Seriously. And you know what that does?
What?
It impacts the intensity of the color.
So it's not just rooting the surface?
Nope, it's actually messing with the color itself.
Man, mold is sneakier than I thought.
It is, you gotta be careful.
So how do we prevent this mold mayhem?
Well, pasted text really emphasized the importance of humidity control.
Humidity, yeah.
Keeping those levels stable, ideally between 40 and 50%.
Okay, so not too humid, not too dry.
Exactly. Too humid, you're inviting mold to the party. Too dry, and, well, the canvas can become brittle and,
Oh, no.
it can crack.
It's terrible. I wouldn't want that to happen to any of my pieces.
Nobody would.
So how do we actually keep track of humidity levels?
Hygrometer, that's your best friend.
A hygrometer.
Yep, measures the humidity in the air.
So like a thermostat, but for moisture.
Exactly. Tells you if you need to add moisture with a humidifier
Okay,
or remove some with a dehumidifier.
got it. So sunlight, moisture. What else do we have to worry about?
All right, next up, dust.
Dust. Seriously. Seems kind of harmless.
I know, right? We all hate dusting,
The worst.
but those tiny dust particles, they're actually little abrasives.
Abrasives. Like sandpaper.
Kinda, yeah. Over time, they can scratch the surface of your artwork,
No way.
especially delicate pieces like pastels or watercolors.
So all that dusting I've been putting off.
Yeah, might want to get on that.
Right. All right. I'm convinced.
And when you do dust,
Yeah.
pasted text recommends a soft, dry cloth.
Like microfiber.
Perfect. And no feather dusters.
Really? Why not?
You just spread the dust around.
Oh, and they can actually scratch the surface too.
Exactly. And whatever you do, no harsh chemicals or abrasive cleaners.
Noted. Soft cloth, gentle touch.
You got it.
Okay, so we've covered sunlight, moisture, dust. Anything else?
Oh yeah, one more big one. Temperature swings?
Temperature. Really? I mean, I guess I hadn't thought about that.
It's easy to overlook, but those fluctuations can be bad news for artwork.
How so?
Think about a canvas.
Okay.
It expands and contracts with temperature changes.
Oh, like our skin.
Exactly. And those extreme swings can really stress the canvas.
And then what happens?
Well, it can stretch and shrink, and over time, that can lead to cracks in the paint.
Oh, no. So we need to keep the temperature consistent.
As much as possible, yep. Avoid hanging artwork near heat sources.
Like radiators or fireplaces.
Exactly. And watch out for drafts from windows and doors.
Great tips. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
UV rays, moisture, dust, temperature swings, anything else lurking in the shadows, ready to attack our art.
Well, there's one more we should mention. Smoke.
Ah, right, smoke. I know it can make things yellow over time, but is it really that bad?
It's actually worse than just yellowing, believe it or not.
Worse. How?
Smoke has all sorts of nasty chemicals in it.
Right.
And those chemicals can react with the paint.
And that causes...
Discoloration, yeah. But it can also darken the colors over time.
So it's not just making things yellow, it's actually making them darker too.
Yep. It's like a slow, sneaky chemical attack on your precious artwork.
Yikes. That's a good reason to avoid smoking around art.
Yeah.
or, just quit altogether.
Absolutely. Protecting your health and your art collection go hand in hand.
Couldn't agree more. So it sounds like there are a lot of hidden enemies out there that can damage our art.
There are. It's like a constant battle.
UV rays, mold, dust, temperature swings, smoke.
Yeah.
It's a lot to keep track of, but I'm feeling more prepared now.
Me too. Knowledge is power, right?
Absolutely, and that's what these deep dives are all about,
Totally agree.
helping you protect those precious pieces of art.
And keep them looking fantastic for years to come.
Exactly. So big thanks to Paste in Text for all the great advice.
Great resource.
And of course, thanks to you all for tuning in.
Always a pleasure.
Now, before we wrap up, I wanted to leave you with something to ponder.
Ooh. I like where this is going.
So Paste in Text talks about how art appreciates in value over time, right?
Right.
But what if, and hear me out here,
Okay, I'm listening.
what if that fading, that changing of the artwork over time,
Yeah.
what if that was actually intentional?
Intentional, like the artist wanted it to fade.
Exactly. What if they saw it as part of the art itself?
Like a natural evolution of the piece.
Yeah, like a living thing that changes with time.
That's a really interesting thought.
Right. It kind of challenges our whole idea of art preservation.
For sure. I mean, if the artist intended for it to change, who are we to stop it?
Exactly. Just something to think about as you go about protecting your collection.
Love it. It's given me a whole new perspective.
Awesome. Well, that's all the time we have for today.
Time flies when you're talking art.
It really does. Thanks again for joining us for this deep dive.
Anytime.
And until next time, happy collecting.
Happy collecting.
And may your art stay vibrant and beautiful for years to come.
Cheers to that.